monkey mind and the easy way out. So you've now added a level of conversation that's stronger. But you're like, but Jay, I mean, is that willpower? Is that internal strength? Where does that guard, where does that monk mind come from? So the monk mind comes from the following principle. So the way we strengthen the monk mind and the guard inside our minds so that we don't just give in to the temptations and the urges of the mind is through the 4 R's format. So these 4 R's have to be done in order, and when they're executed effectively, you will know that your guard and your monk mind is getting stronger. The first R is reason. You need a really powerful reason for why you're making this new change in your life. If you don't have a deep, profound reason in your life, it will be really, really difficult. I'll give you the second R that we need in our life is research. Your reason is given more ammunition and depth through good research. What I mean by that is you may pick up the phone to a coach. You may speak to someone who's already mastered that habit. You may focus on reading about books and watching documentaries and listening to podcasts about that subject. The more you absorb information, the more likely you are to create transformation. Remember that. The more you absorb information, the more you're likely to create transformation, because now you have so much research that is consistently convincing the guard to help convince the senses. Every time you want something or see something or chase something, the guard can say, but do you remember when we read that study? Do you remember when we watched that documentary? Do you remember when you spoke to that coach? And all of a sudden, you have so much more reasoning power when you research. So the second step is research, and the best way are books, podcasts, and people, right? Books, podcasts, and people are the best forms of research. When you want to create a habit change in your life, make sure that what you listen to, what you read, and what you speak about is about the subject you're trying to grow in. When you immerse yourself in that way, you will see maximum impact in your life. So the second R is research. The third R is repetition. Repetition. If we don't consistently make this a priority in our life, it's just not going to happen. We have to repeat that action. So we have to prioritize around it. And this is something I say often, right? If you really want to make something a priority in your life, it has to be a small step and a big priority. Often what we try and do is we try and change every area of our life, and then naturally nothing changes. But the better thing to do is choose one area and make it your top priority. So if you want to start going to the gym, make that the one big thing you're going to achieve that day and set a time that you can actually make it. Don't set it at an awkward time. I know someone who literally used to struggle working out. So instead of that, what she would do is when she would roll off the bed, she would have her yoga mat and all of her gym equipment laid out right near her bed, so she had no excuse. Right? It was the first thing she saw in the morning, and so she could naturally start exercising straight away. That also is true for not triggering the senses, right? Repetition also includes, if you're trying to stay off sugar, if you just don't have any sugar items in your closet or in your cupboard or in the fridge, then there's no chance that you're going to have it. So you can actually save yourself by removing it from the trigger of the senses. So that is repetition. The fourth R is responsibility, right? You want to be able to do this with someone. You want to feel like you're growing with someone. That's why having a tribe or a community or a group of people that are trying to aim for the same thing means you're more likely to get there. If you're trying to start a new habit like cycling more, if you're cycling with a group of people, now guess what? You're not just relying on your motivation, you're relying on 10 other people to motivate you as well. If you're going to the gym with a friend, responsibility and accountability makes you more likely to get to your destination. And there's a fifth R actually that I just thought of, and it's called reward. You want to make sure that in any habit change there is some reward, and a reward is making sure you recognize what amazing growth you're making. That you're taking a moment to see, look how far I've come. Because our mind again tricks us and always goes, look how far you have to go. It's really important that you remind yourself of how far you've come, how much you've grown, the difference you've made. So the fifth and final R is reward.